12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Citi News.
It's midday. This is the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. The bulletin is live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adaraka, Accra. It's also live across the country on our partner stations all around the world. We are live on citinewsroom.com. In the next 30 minutes, former colleague of Ahmed Swali charged with murder of the Tiger IPI investigator 6 years after his killing. Also coming up,
are going full steam ahead to revoke all licenses based on the findings. All licenses, small scale licenses that were issued from December 7th is hereby revoked.
Government revokes all mining licenses issued after the December election as part of its raft of measures to curb the Galamsey menace. Still ahead in the bulletin.
People who parading themselves as national security operatives who are going around extorting money from our members. The next time such incident happens, they will not allow themselves to be taken over, and there could be a possible clash.
Small-scale miners threaten to face off with persons posing as security operatives under the guise of combating illegal mining activities. Much later.
I am so much interested in the amount of increment that will be given to the workers of the Zoom Lion. I do not think that anything less than a 50% increment in their allowance will be countenanced. It's something that I'm going to speak against.
We will not countenance a less than 60% increment. The strong words from the minority in Parliament over allowances payable to sanitation workers under the Youth Employment Agency. All that and more on Citi Prime News, also broadcasting on our affiliates across the country. If you are listening to us in the Western region, this is Premier FM 100.5 in Takoradi and Beach 105.5 FM also in Takoradi. In the Boni region, this is J Live 95.5 FM in Sunyani Ashanti region, Orange FM 107.9 in Kumasi, Volta region. Welcome to Akpini Radio 96.7 megahertz in Pandu and Heritage FM 107.3 in Hohoi. In the Northern region, this is Dasoma 99.1 in Yendi Word FM, 88.3 in Zwarungu in the Upper East region, Westlink 88.1 FM in Laura in the Upper West region, and Eagle FM 94.1 in Wale Wale in the Northeast region.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Thanks for choosing us this hour. I am Neil Latte. Details of our stories now. A former colleague of the late Ahmed Swali at Tiger IPI, Daniel Owusu-Krantin, has been charged with murder in connection with a journalist killing. He is accused of causing Swali's death through unlawful harm 6 years after that incident. Joining us in studio is my colleague in the Citi Newsroom, Hansen Ajiman. And with more on this particular development, Hansen, is this the very first arrest about the Ahmed Swali's killing?
Certainly, this is the first arrest. Ahmed Swali was killed somewhere in 2019, and in Medina, when he had gone to visit his family. Upon getting to a junction just some few meters away from his home, he was shot by some unknown assailants. Media reports at the time suggested that these unknown assailants had been roaming the community in the community some hours before the incident. But basically, that was the answer that we got at the time. Nobody ever outed who these unknown assailants were. The Ghana Police Service assured all of their readiness to continue with the investigations and indicated that they had leads as to who might have caused this. But up until now, no name had officially been mentioned as being allegedly involved in the killing of Ahmed Swali. So the arrest and arraignment of Daniel Owusu-Cranton makes him the first person who, to the knowledge of the public, has been arrested and charged for the murder of Ahmed Swali.
But do we know the specific role this former colleague played in the killing of the late investigator?
So, Daniel Owusu-Cranton, as we've been told by the Ghana Police Service today in court and largely by state prosecutors, is that he himself owns a business. Now, this business, we are told that he is a CEO of the business. And then he was a colleague of Ahmed Swali at Tiger Eye PI. According to police investigations, in 2018, when there were some tensions between Ahmed Swali and former member of parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Japan, and Kennedy Japan did a show on Net2 TV, for which he has an interest in, and revealed footage of Ahmed Swali, who was one of the lead investigators in the number 12 expose. Ahmed Swali, we have been told at the time, identified that it was the businessman, his former colleague, or his colleague at the time, Daniel Owusu-Cranton, who actually sold the pictures to Kennedy Japan. But Daniel Cranton has indicated that yes, of course, he has taken pictures of Ahmed Swali before, but he has not sold those pictures to Kennedy Japan as Ahmed Swali has suggested. In addition to this, the police say per their investigations, he was within Medina and close to the residence and essentially within the vicinity of the crime scene during and at the time of the incident. He left Medina at about 11:15 p.m. when the killing had been done, left to his own house at Amasaman. Police say that they invited him as part of their investigations into the killing. He, however, did not agree to these investigations or denied these requests to meet the police officers investigating the case. Subsequently, we are told that he fled out of the country to the United Kingdom. However, on March 15, 2025, he returned to the country, and we have been told that by police surveillance and intelligence, he was then arrested. And so, as of now, this is the extent of involvement we know of the businessman and former colleague of Ahmed Swali in his killing.
So, what does this arrest bring to the case proper in terms of the court hearing? Do we know when next the hearing will be held?
So, the case has been adjourned to April 1. Since he's been charged with a murder, this is what they call indictable offense. The appropriate forum for trying a murder charge is the High Court. However, before you go to the High Court, you need to have what they call a bill of indictment. So essentially what you would do is that you would first go to the district court, and then the district court will listen to the piece or pieces of evidence gathered by the police and determine that there's a prima facie case to be answered. That is, at least there's an initial question hovering around the accused person to answer, and then he would then be indicted for trial. It is then that the trial itself will happen at the High Court, which it will include the empaneling of jury members, and then the state prosecutors will take over from it. But the Ghana Police Service says investigations are ongoing, and so between now and April 1, or between now and when the trial at the processes at the district court for the bill of indictment, and the Ghana Police Service would give us a direction as to how they want to proceed.
All right, thank you very much. That's court correspondent here in the Citi Newsroom, Hansen Ajima. Now, several residents of Boku, including women and the elderly, have reportedly sustained injuries after an alleged assault by military officers from the 11th Mechanized Battalion. The attack is said to be in response to the killing of one of their officers on Monday, March 17. Reports indicate that soldiers stormed homes during curfew hours, forcefully removing people and subjecting them to physical abuse. Assembly member of the Daruri electoral area, Rahman Bukari Asana, described the incident as unfortunate.
The military invaded Azanga, specifically one day at around 7:45 p.m. They invaded the whole area and entered every house. They broke into the gates of every house that is not open. They enter and break into every room, and they beat men and women in some instances. As I'm talking to you, there are several people currently at Vineyard Hospital with various degrees of injuries that have sustained various degrees of injuries as a result of the military brutality. So, Azanga and for that matter, one day was brutalized by the military from 7:45 up to 12 a.m. with several military armor cars and pickups that invaded the whole community.
Rahman Bukari Asana is assembly member for the Daruri electoral area in the Upper East region. Meanwhile, the member of parliament for Boku Central, Mahama Yariga, has condemned the alleged military assault on civilians in Boku. In a statement, Mahama Yariga vowed to hold the military accountable for their actions, stressing that retaliatory attacks on innocent civilians cannot be justified. He urged military leadership and local authorities to work together in investigating the soldiers' killing rather than resorting to indiscriminate aggression. Still in the Upper East region, and the overlord of the Kasol traditional area, Naba Asigui Abukraro Asoga II, has on the other hand condemned the killing of a military officer in Boku in the Upper East region. The officer was reportedly unarmed and wearing camouflage when gunmen attacked him in the Palori Avego area. In a statement, the overlord urged authorities to bring those responsible to justice. Away from the killings in the Upper East region now, and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has revoked all mining licenses granted after the December 7, 2024 election in an effort to combat illegal mining. The decision seeks to restore degraded forest reserves and water bodies. At a press briefing, Sector Minister Emmanuel Ama Kofibua revealed that out of the 9 forest reserves affected by illegal mining, 7 have been reclaimed. He assured that further measures will be taken to protect the country's natural resources.
Based on the advice and the recommendations of the key committees, jointly with the minister, supported by the EPA and the Minerals Commission, Forestry Commission, Water Resource Commission, we are taking the following steps. We are going full steam ahead to revoke all licenses based on the findings. All licenses, small-scale licenses that were issued from December 7th is hereby revoked. Whether you have EPA licenses, because the finding is very clear. Those licenses from December 7th were rushed, the due processes were not followed, and the right things were not done. People will have the opportunity to appeal to make sure the right things are done. But our whole focus is to make sure that the right things are done against illegal activities in our water bodies. I'm proud to inform you that we announced at the beginning, when I took office, I went to Parliament and announced that 9 of our forest reserves were completely taken over by thugs who are destroying our water. I'm proud to tell you, with the cooperation of the security agencies, the military, we have taken back 7 of these 9 forest reserves. We are working very hard to make sure that the other 2 is completely also. So we are close to taking over our forest reserve. We are working day and night, thanks to the support of the Ghana Armed Forces and the Defense Ministry.
Well, the minister further stated that all existing community mining schemes will be disbanded and replaced with small-scale cooperatives to ensure that mining activities benefit local communities.
The existing community mining schemes are in name only, as I've said, although the basis for which they were funded were to benefit the community. However, the findings indicate that this is not the case. They are to be disbanded and replaced with small-scale mining cooperatives that actually serve and benefit the communities. These cooperatives will be formed after due diligence with the communities involved, properly represent the communities. So, in other words, the community mining schemes that were giving small-scale mining, the investigation across all these mining communities is very clear. They do not represent the communities. And so in that case, we with immediate effect banning all of that, basically, and reviewing them and turning them into community mining cooperatives after due diligence and engagement with the communities to make sure that indeed those are community representatives.
That's the minister responsible for lands and natural resources, Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa. Still on mining, because the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners has vowed to resist individuals posing as military and national security personnel who are allegedly extorting money from its members under the guise of fighting illegal mining. The association claims that some individuals suspected to have ties with the governing National Democratic Congress are targeting mining sites for extortion, calling for urgent intervention from the President and relevant authorities. Ashanti Regional Secretary Michael Edu Jemfi warned of potential clashes if the issue is not addressed.
If you get the message from some of our members from other zones, the next time such incident happens, they will not allow themselves to be taken over, and there could be a possible clash that could create fatalities. So we are just drawing the attention of the President as well as the regional minister, so far as Ashanti is concerned, to be wide awake and talk to their people and make sure that those who are going around parading themselves as national security operatives are stopped for the interest of the people of Ghana as well as the mining industry. We want to assure the government that the Ghana Association of Small-Scale Mining is vowed and has put itself in the position to support every meaningful activity by the government to ensure that small-scale mining is done in Ghana sustainably.
Ashanti Regional Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, Michael Edu Jemfi there. Meanwhile, acting Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator, Captain Retired John Kwame Jabari, confirmed recent arrest related to the incident.
We are collaborating with the police in this aspect because we are not presently in all the districts at the same time. So most of them will fall on their roadblocks or barriers to assist us in this effort. So, but we have given small-scale miners our hotlines or operational numbers so that they can quickly alert us. If it is us, we'll let them know. If it is not us, we'll tell them who, or we'll let those who get arrested. So it's not a problem. We are trying. Sometimes when a legal one comes, they think it's still the illegal ones, and it brings about some sort of confrontation between us and the illegal miners who are operating within the field. But we are trying to solve it with the help of the police within those constraints. I think we can solve these ones over there.
You heard the acting Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator, Captain Retired John Kwame Jabari. This is still the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM, live from our studios here at number 11 Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka, Accra. Also live across the country on our affiliate and all around the world on citinewsroom.com. I am Ni Latte. Still to come, we hear from the minority in Parliament, which says it will not countenance a less than 60% increment in allowances payable to sanitation workers under the Youth Employment Agency.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You welcome back to Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. Now, the chairman of the Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs Committee of Parliament, Dr. George Seydou Sargo, has assured that despite a reduction in budgetary allocation to agricultural, alternative funding sources will cover the shortfall. The Mahama government has faced criticism for allocating only 1.5 billion cedis, 0.54% of the 2025 budget, compared to 5 billion cedis or 2.2% under the previous administration. Speaking on the City Breakfast Show, the MP for Wa East also defended the allocation, stating that it reflects the current state of the economy.
Investment in capital projects and then goods and services. If you do the analysis, it appears there was a lot of expenditure that didn't really commensurate with the output that we were expecting. That kind of expenditure can be described as not investment. And so the quantum really doesn't matter in my view. It is about the value that the quantum brings out. And in this particular budget, if you look at the analysis, yes, on the balance, the figure appears smaller, but people forget about Appendix 11 on page 242 of the current budget statement. That actually gives you additional information of financing to the sector. Savannah Investment Program is actually earmarked to be financed with $20.2 million US. Then you have the Ministry of Trade budget. The Ministry of Trade budget has got agribusiness now in it. Then you have the almighty 24-hour economy that is being housed under Office of Government Machinery, whose prime work is going to be centered around agriculture.
He also addressed concerns of looming food crisis over financial and operational challenges of the National Buffer Stock Company.
In the last few years, we have actually not used buffer stock the way it ought to be used. The intention for setting the buffer stock up was for it to be able to go to the farm gate, buy excess food that is produced at minimum guaranteed prices so that the farmers don't lose and can continue to produce. These produce were intended to be stored at strategic warehouses across the country. And then continuous market studies will be done where prices begin to appreciate. Buffer stock comes in to push in the commodities into that market to bring down or stabilize the prices. So that way, food availability will be there at prices that people can afford. Unfortunately, the Ministry of Agri didn't prioritize buffer stock. And so buffer stock had to rely on itself and its initiatives by latching onto the school feeding program. And so this is why we are where we are. And so a lot of re-engineering has to be done. Fortunately, the Minister of Agri I've engaged him already, and I'm aware that he's waiting for buffer stock to bring up an operational plan immediately, and that following the approval of appropriation, he's going to make some allocation to buffer stock.
George Seydou Sargo is chairman of the Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs Committee of Parliament and MP for Wa East. The Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, Vincent Eko Asifua, insists that any salary increase for sanitation workers under the Youth Employment Agency below 60% will be unacceptable. As a former YEA board member, he believes the workers deserve better pay, and he suggests that funds from the District Assembly Common Fund and other sources could support the increment. Speaking to Citi News, he urged the Youth Empowerment Ministry to ensure fair wages for the workers who have long demanded better conditions.
I am so much interested in the amount of increment that will be given to the workers of the Zoom Lion. I do not think that anything less than a 60% increment in their allowance will be countenanced. It's something that I'm going to speak against. If you don't do anything more than 50% for them, you need to get the money. Remember that YEA has a CST of about 5% that is given to it. The DACF is also having some committed fund from taxpayers that is also given to it. So there's money to be able to do so.
He, however, disagrees with the local government minister's decision to negotiate remuneration for workers without a board and contract in place. He has said that the local government ministry has no authority over the YEA any longer.
The YEA does not have a board. The board that I was part of has been dissolved by His Excellency the President. And so, in the absence of a board, I am finding it very difficult to understand how such a crucial engagement that will cost the taxpayer over 1 billion Ghana cedi will be triggered without a board being in place. Also, before this current dispensation, the YEA board never agreed on the terms, whether it was proposed by the service provider or the YEA itself. And so as we speak, there is no subsistence contract between government and the service provider. And so I am only hoping that the processes that will lead to a contract being signed, which contract will spell the terms for the service provider, if like the government, to be able to pay these workers who work for the YEA, will have to be followed. In the absence of that, then it's going to be problematic.
That was the Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, Vincent Eko Asifua. The Ministry of Labour, Jobs and Employment has introduced the Ghana Work Abroad program to tackle youth unemployment through strategic partnerships. Speaking at the launch on March 18, Sector Minister Dr. Abdul Rashid Pelpu underscored the initiative's goal of creating a structured and coordinated labour migration system that offers opportunities for Ghanaians, especially young people.
The Ghana Work Abroad program is a bold step towards establishing safer legal pathways for employment abroad, which will safeguard the rights and welfare of the Ghanaian migrant worker and also reinforce our national commitments to ethical and responsible labor mobility. I have said that in this regime, in my period as a minister, we will not tolerate any situation where Ghanaian workers will go abroad and working and be punished for going there to work.
Minister for Labour, Jobs and Employment Dr. Abdul Rashid Pelpu, the Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Employment Agency Malik Basantali, stated that to combat the issue of brain drain, the YEA intends to establish a comprehensive reintegration and community impact program to ensure workers return into the workforce and do not stay abroad permanently.
We are also conscious of the concerns regarding brain drain. And the last time I was having a conversation with a friend, I was wondering why anytime you have the Europeans trooping into the country, they don't term it as brain drain. But anytime Ghanaians are going out, we term it as brain drain. And maybe we've had many brains drained through Chinese imports into this country. The truth of the matter is that all labor from the international community are well structured and they troop into our country in a well structured form. The YEA is instituting a comprehensive reintegration and community impact program that will ensure that when our workers go, they shall return home.
That's Malik Basantali, Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Employment Agency. Let's bring you more stories now. And the minority leader Alexander Penyomarkin is accusing the government of conniving with the Koforidua High Court to harass the Member of Parliament for Akwitia, Ernest Yaokumi. This comes after the Interior Minister Mohamed Mubarak Muntaka justified attempts to arrest Ernest Yaokumi following the issuance of a bench warrant for his arrest for contempt by the Koforidua High Court. Addressing journalists, Alexander Penyomarkin asked security operatives to adhere to the laws of the state.
Clearly, there is collusion between the government and the High Court, Koforidua, to use their own set of laws in our country. How can the minister tell us that the court order could be enforced by the National Security Coordinator's rep in Eastern Region? With the greatest respect, that is not how our laws work. A week after the ruling of the court, to hear that now state security operatives were harassing the Member of Parliament in his constituency, but for the intervention of his constituents, they were armed with pickup vehicles, and in fact they actually pulled a weapon, a pistol, on the MP, trying to threaten him, to force him into the pickup. I think that the NDC government must know that this country is a country of rule of law. And I can assure the government that today a question will be filed for the Attorney General to come and answer the circumstances leading to the judiciary in Eastern Region, the High Court, in Eastern region.
Alexander Penyomakin is minority leader in parliament. Let's do health now, because the World Health Organization is warning that 8 African countries could face shortages of HIV medications in the coming months due to the withdrawal of US funding from key health programs. The impact is being felt most in global efforts to combat HIV and AIDS, malaria and tuberculosis. WHO Director General stated that the funding cuts are already leading to serious consequences affecting access to life-saving treatment and healthcare services.
I'm not talking about the decision by the United States to withdraw from WHO. I will not comment on that today. I'm talking about cuts to direct US funding for countries through USAID, the US CDC and other agencies. The impact of these cuts will be even greater, and we're already seeing them. There are now severe disruptions to the supply of malaria diagnostics, medicines, and insecticide-treated bed nets due to stock-outs, delayed delivery, or lack of funding. Over the last 2 decades, the US has been the largest bilateral donor to the fight against malaria, helping to prevent an estimated 2.2 billion cases and 12.7 million doses.
Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, bringing us to an end to today's edition of Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. We have more news for you if you visit our website, citinewsroom.com. Many thanks indeed for your company. I'm Neil Latte. Do have a pleasant afternoon.
Citi News, we speak first.